following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
You are listening to the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. 4 beer with a sports talk and a whole lot more. We are part of the Belly Up Sports Network. Listen in as Brent and Dave invite you to belly up to the bar with them to talk about everything in the world of sports, just like you would do at your favorite watering hole. It's sports, beer, and shenanigans, so belly up to the bar with us, grab a beverage, and let's get into it.
$14.20 Sports Bar Podcast, 4 beer, sports talk, and a whole lot more. Brought to you by SeatGeek and SeatGeek.com. Use promo code 1420SCAPED at Manscaped.com today and save yourself 20% and get yourself some free shipping at Manscaped.com for all of your men's personal grooming needs. Dave, for our first, what is this YouTube live video going on tonight here on the Belly Up Network of shows? How you doing? How was the weekend?
Weekend was really good. Aside from winter decided to come back again, but what do you do? It's where we live. Shoveled snow 3 fucking times in 24 hours. But that's what happens sometimes. But it was a beautiful day out today. We got some snow, and you know, this is new. I'm excited. I'm a little bit nervous. I don't know what's going to happen. It's
me neither.
It's kind of exciting.
No, it's a new venture in the world of the 1420 podcast. The opening there brings back a lot of memories, some goofy thoughts and ideas and stuff that we've been doing this for 284 shows now. So it's a lot going on there that's going through memory lane, linking all those up yesterday. It was kind of fun.
Yeah, I bet it was. You know, it's great that the timing of this couldn't be better. The day that you're finally going to let me talk about the Brier for one whole episode on the Brier is on right now. Watched a lot of this weekend. Can't wait to do a live edition of Brier 2023 coverage.
I didn't know the Brier was on the program for a night show. I must not, my people must not have talked to your people about that because I didn't get that memo. Anyways, Dave, had a little situation here at World Headquarters down at the tavern on Friday night. It was, we ordered some food from a local establishment. I won't name who it was, but it doesn't much matter. Something didn't sit well with me and the producer at all. Got a little ill later on that night and everything else. I don't know. There was stuff coming out of both ends, and it wasn't the greatest thing. Wasn't the greatest, and Deanne got sick as well. But is it a moral obligation to call said establishment the next day and say, hey, man, we ate something from your place and it didn't go well, and you might want to go through your ingredients or whatever it is, because man, oh man, it weren't good. I was sick on Saturday morning for quite some time, and I don't get sick.
Yeah, it kind of depends. Is it a place you order from often, and are you going to order from there again?
Yes and yes.
Well, then I'd give them a call. If it was something like, God, let's give this place a try. No, fuck that place. They can go belly up.
Yeah, because no, it was it wasn't good. Deanne got sick. I got sick. I was like, holy Christ, this isn't good at all. Like, it was bad. Like, and it was a place that we've all eaten out here in Lethbridge. It's just a thing. I don't know what the hell happened, man. And I was kind of, because I didn't want to be towards them saying like, we're not complaining, not looking for anything free, unless they wanted to comp us something. But like, I was like, I didn't know how to word it. Was the biggest thing.
Yeah, could you tell immediately? Was it off when you were putting it in your mouth? Did it taste fine?
No.
Yeah.
No,
okay.
It was sick. Like, it wasn't good. It was not good at all. But anyways, it happens. Anyways, as reported by our main man, the fan in the van, Jim Plotner, he and then by your main man, Adam Schefter, not Adam Schefter, a guy you like, Rich Eisen, he re-reported it today. He must have got a wind of what Jim had to say. The Tom Brady saga hasn't gone away. He's reportedly coming back and to Miami. He's linked to already. Like, when can this guy just not do it? Like, I just don't understand his reasoning.
His reasons are his own, and who am I to tell him how to live his life, right? Like, once he's not getting any younger, and that much is clear. plays the position better than 66% of the league right now. So if he wants to take a kick at the cat, tarnish his legacy, I don't care. Like I simply do not care.
What's crazy is that he just then don't retire. Just say you don't want to play in Tampa, or you don't want to play in New England or whatever. Just don't. It's only been it was longer than last time. It was 2 weeks. It was a week last time. This time it was 2 weeks that he announced retirement. Like, why can't this guy just get over himself? Honestly.
That's a different question. He's obviously a bit of an egomaniac. He clearly likes the spotlight a lot. The fact that he told Fox that don't worry about it, I'm not going to come back there and take Greg Olson's job this year, maybe next year. And I don't have a problem with
that. Did open the door like that.
Yeah,
did.
And then announcing his retirement, maybe that just clears the way paperwork wise, so Tampa doesn't try something stupid like franchise tag him or something like that. Because that's probably why he announced it today. Because you had the franchise tag today, and if they don't want to do it, then they can't. Like I don't know all the rules, but clearly his time with the Buccaneers organization is over. And I honestly I could care less what he wants to do to tarnish his legacy, because he ain't winning one. Not in Miami.
When Jim said that yesterday, I didn't give that much of a hill of beans of thought, and then when Rich Eisen says it, not that I don't trust what Jim says, there he is right there, the main man, the fan of the van. He it's funny that he said that, and then he reported AR beat reporter Jim from the fan of the van, and I think if you're not going to retire, then don't. Like, don't say anything. Just don't keep going about your business and doing that. It makes zero sense to me that he would go about doing that. Like, just don't. There's Jimmy's an egomaniac prick saying things like that. So yeah, it's just funny that he says those kind of things and just can't get out of his own way. Anyways, we'll get on to the rest of the show. The trade deadline happened early last week with the Los Angeles Kings traded their longtime goaltender, 15, 16 years with the Kings organization. Out of nowhere, they traded Jonathan Quick to Columbus, and they quickly got flipped over to Las Vegas. Dave, I thought that was a pretty shitty deal. He's out the last year of his contract. Been there for 10 years, won 2 Stanley Cups, Conn Smythe in 2012, I think it was. Probably the best Kings goalie of all time. Another 3 weeks left in the season, and then the playoffs happen and everything else. Did the Kings do Jonathan Quick a bit dirty by getting rid of it at that point? Because the 10-year contract is up this year. He's a free agent coming along, and then that's it. Like, was that dirty pool by the Kings?
This is a tough one. At first glance, when I first read about it, and he had whatever 20 games left in his Kings career, and they said, "Oh, by the way, we're going to give you to the shittiest team in the league," and that's without asking him. Like, well, maybe they did ask / tell. He did tell him he didn't want to go, but Blake is the GM there right now, and from people that know more about hockey than I do, the Kings got some good return on him, and it was a good deal for the team. We say allegiance, and we say it's a business, and that was just, you gotta think sometimes that allegiance to an all-time great, a Hall of Famer that's going to be wearing a Kings jersey it's not like baseball. It's not like you put on a jersey to go into the Hall of Fame. He's a Hall of Famer.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's a King. He there's nothing ever that's gonna make people think other than, Los Angeles Kings when they speak his name. And he didn't want to go. Yeah, it's dirty, but I kind of get it. Like, it's a tough one, and also too, like, and the team didn't want him to go. Like, everybody on the team, like, how's this going to affect the team and the locker room, and how is that going to work for the management team for the Los Angeles Kings going forward? If they're like, oh geez, Like if he's gonna do him dirty, he's not gonna hesitate to fuck me over come time.
Yeah, you saw guys like Drew Doughty and Anze Kopitar, the guys who have been there along with him the entire time, winning Stanley Cups and the like, and the whole thing, and been there like long-term Kings, and been there through the good, the bad, and the ugly, and obviously the championship seasons. And they see a guy go like that, and they're like, well, Jesus, when am I doing? I don't know Doughty's no trade clause or what his deal is at the end of his deal, or what Kopitar's deal is. I have no idea, but it doesn't much matter. I agree with you, man. Like, you kill or be killed, I guess, in the world of professional sports, because if they get rid of a guy like Jonathan Quick, they're going to get rid of, as soon as they get some kind of return for a Drew Doughty, for a Kopitar, and whoever, these GMs they'll just do it because at the end of the day, the GM wants their job as well, right? And they don't care about 10 years ago. They don't care about 5 years ago. They care about this year and next year and the year after. And it's such a, it's win or you lose your job. And these guys lose their job on a consistent basis, and it's crazy that a guy like Jonathan Quick was given the gate, and he said it was a total surprise, and how they didn't go to a guy like Quick, who's been there a long term, and give the guy a bit of a heads up, say, hey, we might be dealing you, we're looking for somebody else. I think he would have understood. I mean, the Kings, they don't really owe him anything when it comes down to it.
No, you're completely right. And from what I had read is that he did tell him I don't want to go. It was broached, and he said no, I don't want to go. That was my understanding. And then Blake kind of said, like, Quicker, I'm not asking, I'm telling now. And off he went. And then he showed some big dick energy on his own. Then Quick, because he told Columbus, like, just don't even get a locker ready for me. And he never stepped foot in Columbus. And then Columbus said, "Oh, well, we'll try and work something else." Columbus then traded him and got a pick from Vegas. And so, that's coming forward. Like, Vegas does play the Kings down the stretch. And if these two meet in the playoffs, I don't know who Vegas's number one is, but I sure hope Quick is to see the crease if and when they play the Los Angeles Kings.
Well, and that's just it. Like, a little bit of payback is a bitch kind of deal for the Kings. It's crazy. Like, we talked a few weeks back about guys getting no trade clauses, and I wasn't really for it and everything else. And then you brought up maybe having a guy getting a no trade, but except maybe not in the last 2 years of their deal, and having the 10-year deal and everything else, because those are touchy to have. Like, those are a touchy deal to get, because it's 10 years is a long time for a guy to get old. Dave, do these owners and GMs and anything else, do they owe these players anything more than just a paycheck? Because at the end of the day, they are just employees. That's all they are.
On paper, no, they don't. Right? We talked about it quite a few
the
episodes.
Human element's a thing, right?
Yeah, it is a thing. A long-standing employee. Like, it's. Do you treat it like any other job? Like, he's obviously loved by the fans. I don't know how he couldn't be. They're going to be sad to see him go, and we talked about it. Whatever, so 15 years ago, Matt Sundin would not waive his no trade clause, and then all of a sudden the fans are pissing and moaning at him because you only got 2 months left. We're not going to make the playoffs, and you're being so selfish. You're not going to benefit the team by letting us trade you for a draft pick here. He told him to get bent. It's something in the contract, and that's business too. You can't as fans have it both ways. And Sundin, aside from the cups, was every bit a cornerstone for that Leaf franchise than Quick was for this Kings franchise.
Yeah.
And then, so, if the Kings, excuse me, if the Kings were not in the playoffs, no chance. They're having a surprisingly good year, and they're comfortably in the playoffs. If they were last in the division, would it be, are you an asshole for asking to trade them then?
Yeah, it's.
The Flames did it with Giordano. The Hawks did it with Kane, right?
Like, are the Kings a Stanley Cup contender? Maybe, because the West is wide open. So why not make that deal and see what you can do? Because the East is going to eat themselves alive, in my opinion. There's going to be tough to come out of the East, but the West is pretty wide open, and nobody's really going for it. So the Kings have just as good of a shot. I don't think they're going to win a Stanley Cup, but they're giving themselves and their fan base a Stanley Cup. And who cares that they won one 10 years ago? You live for the now, and you don't want to get fired, right? And like, at the end of the day, like, these guys want their job, not that Rob Blake needs the money. I'm sure he's fine, and whoever else in Robitaille's in there and everything else, those old hockey players in LA. So you just wonder what's going on there, and you don't understand how that could. It's just the human element of it all, because there's families and everything else that get involved in that, and you just go, man. Like it's a tough movement, and to have 20 games left or whatever it was, like Quick had, that's a tough pill to swallow, man. It just shows that Wayne Gretzky got fucking traded, right? I mean, it's one of those things, right?
Well, and then so what? 3 years ago, Laine for the Jets and Dubois for Columbus. Is that who it was? Remember, both those guys were sitting out because they didn't want to play anymore. They didn't like the coach. They didn't like the atmosphere. And they were 2 years into 5-year deals. Like, so, once again, you can't have your cake and eat it too. If these players don't want to live up to the contracts that they signed not a couple years ago, I get it. It's a little bit different, but it's not. It is a business, and Blake made a hard decision. I imagine he didn't like to do it, but from everything I read about that trade, it was the Kings did really well by that trade.
Like, you wonder how that conversation would come about for a guy who's rolling into Staples Center or whatever it's called, cryptocurrency.com or whatever it's called these days, because one of those places you always call it Staples Center, and how it's just one of those things, right? So you wonder, like, the King's been going, or Quick's been going to Staples Center for so long, if he rolled in and, hey, we got to talk to you, like, what? It's what? Like, it would have been an odd conversation to have. Like, well, I'm not. I'm Jonathan
Did they
Quick.
do it no, they did it on the road. They found out after they lost to Winnipeg or something like that. Oh no, they were on the road, I believe, in Winnipeg. And so then they announced the trade after the game, and he had to fly back to the team with the team back to LA. So, that's actually not bad, right? You got 4 or 5 hours to say your goodbyes and reminisce about old times. And,
yeah, I guess.
And you don't have to repack your bag, which he didn't need anyways, because he said there ain't no fucking way I'm going to Columbus.
Well, it was good of Columbus to say okay and not treat him like a piece of human fecal matter and say see you later. Like, you're playing here no matter what on this horrible team, and you deserve more than that. Because a guy like Jonathan Quick with his pedigree and his resume deserves a lot more than that than having to play with a team like Winnipeg and Columbus and Johnny Gaudreau. Like, it's not that Gaudreau's bad, but you know what I mean.
Well, yeah. Well, he's not a winner, right? So I get it. It's like, no, I didn't want to go. And I'm not. And the fact was Columbus was the actual spitting in the face as more than anything. Like, just the worst team in the league. And there's a lot of bad teams out there.
There's a lot of bad teams out there. Yeah, no, it's good. Like, it's nice that Quick landed on his feet. I always liked him as a goaltender. Like, in 2012, the Kings don't win that Stanley Cup without him. There's no doubt about that. And
was that the year they came back from 3-0?
Yes. Yeah. And then that 2000, was it 2010 team? No, 2013, 14. It doesn't much matter. That year when they just ran the table right through the playoffs pretty much. And Quick, like, he came out of nowhere. I mean, teams there, they kind of play in obscurity a little bit, like LA, because they're on the West Coast, nobody sees them, and they kind of came out of nowhere, won that cup, and it's like, holy shit. And that Quick came out of nowhere, like, holy, he wasn't highly touted, and they like, just, it's crazy. And then he's just gone, and it shows you that these athletes are they're so disposable. Like, see you later, like, we'll get somebody else.
Well, not that disposable. Like, what was it? A 10-year, $58 million.
And they don't owe him anything more than a paycheck.
No. And
he's had a pretty good life. Well, I don't know what his 10-year deal was worth, but I'm assuming he's got 65 sheets in the bank.
58 mil.
58 mil plus, right?
Well, yeah. So whatever he made.
He did okay.
Yeah,
like,
he's not going hungry. I get that. And Conn Smythe winner, probably a Hall of Famer.
I think it's a guarantee.
Yeah, 2 cups, 1 Hall of Fame. I don't know where he was in the Vezina voting or what have you, but like, yeah, for 5 to 10 years there, he was top 2 goalie in the NHL every year. Yeah.
No, it's just odd that those guys are just disposable in the way it's just see you later. We'll get somebody else to do this, and then when your time's up, your time's up. Like, and that's what, like, we'll get off this in a second here, Dave. But I've always wondered about those long-term deals. Hey, like, it's it's you just wonder, okay, like the baseball's kind of getting away from it. Judge just got 9 as I say this, but like these long-term deals, how they don't usually work out very well. There's not many guys who end up playing out the length of those long-term contracts.
No. The example we talked about a bit, I think during the summer was Cabrera with Detroit, right?
Oh, that's
And
a mess.
yeah, but he's done, right? That was.
No, he's playing this year still.
He has one more year. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I thought. Oh well.
At 31 mil, and their payroll's 114, I think. Right?
Well, he put a lot of asses in the seats over the years, right? 82 games a year, couple World Series appearances. The fact that you forget he was on the team with Scherzer and Verlander, right? Like, so he was, when they signed that deal, they were going for it, and they missed, and now they gotta just keep writing checks with lots of zeros for old Miggy there to shake hands and kiss babies in Detroit, which he's never gotten sour. He's not being, well, what's there to be pissy pants? I guess Pujols got a little pissy pants, no? So
yeah, it's absolutely insane that goes on in these contracts, and you got to go because the players want these contracts, right? The players want these contracts. And it's a shiny toy in the lot, the shiny car in the lot, so they're gonna get them. Someone's going to give it to them, no matter what.
Yeah, and they're obviously always going to want term because they know just as much as the next guy. I'm not going to be better in 4 years than I am right now, but I want to make the money like I like for the talent I'm giving you right now. And it's, and Jim, just I saw on the screen big money on short term. I hear what you're saying, but I also think that the players and the agents aren't going to want that. They won't sell. And there's always going to be a GM and an owner says, just do what it takes. Sign him to 12. I don't care. Get that guy here. I want him. Machado. He went to the Padres, 3 years ago, and he opted out already.
Opted out and then re-signed already. It's just absolutely insane. Yeah, I don't understand that one. Anyways, we'll get into that about long-term deals in half a second. Anyways, the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, 4 beer sports talk and a whole lot more, brought to you by SeatGeek and the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420escaped at SeatGeek.com today. 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, 4 beer sports talking a whole lot more. This segment's brought to you by RexMD and RexMD.com. Use promo code BELLYUP at RexMD.com, or just go to RexMD/BellyUp and get 90% off your erectile dysfunction needs medication today. We're joined in this segment by Jim, our producer, sound guy, the whole bit, fresh off his radio appearance on Saturday afternoon on Unsigned BC. I listened to it. Was I wrong on that, Jim? Oh, he's got no sound. We got a problem. Not a big deal. Anyways,
allow the mic. Come on, producer. You're the one that's supposed to finish
the producer's tripping all over his dick on our first go at it here. It doesn't much matter. Dave, on Saturday night, the Oilers or the Flames pulled up a dud. They lost 3-0, and the fans booed them off the ice, which was quite humorous. It was 3-0. The Flames lost, and Sutter, who's always good for a quote, and he's great for our show. He says, and I quote, he says, they shouldn't boo the whole team. They should just boo our star players. Is Sutter just finding himself a way to dig a hole no matter what? Because it seems week in, week out, he's just saying whatever he wants. And he knows he's out because Trelivings is out this year, and it's just the way it goes.
I don't know what there's nothing else he can say, right? Like, I imagine he's trying as hard as he can to coach him up. He from what I can make out, he's actually kind of taking the burr out of the saddle a little bit, at least in front of the microphone. But Did you hear the audio when that game was over?
Yeah.
It was resounding. That's as good a boo as you're gonna get, and it puts a smile on my face because the Flames suck, and I could care less if they ever win another game. But to get booed like that, to just go home, you bum, is in front of the home fans. That's I can't imagine that was a fun car ride home for the faithful. We got you now, Jim.
We got you, Jim.
Cool.
Yeah, no, it's great, and then the way that Sutter just goes about saying whatever he wants, that old school mentality. We talk about him once a week, no matter what. The way he just says those kind of things, you go, man, maybe he shouldn't, because it's going to be tough. I mean, I don't think he'll be around once Treliving's done this year. We talked about it last week that Treliving's going to be gone, but just to say, just boo the star players because they're the ones who didn't play. Where basically they're the ones not playing. Where the fuck, and see you later. It's just funny.
I think it's hilarious, and I love it because it's the Flames, right?
Do you wish?
And Sutter, but also too, Sutter just signed an extension. Like he's there for I think 2 years after this one now.
They're disposable. Coaches are disposable. Whatever. See you later. They pay them $4 or $5 million, whatever.
Well, I think the Flames are already paying 4 coaches.
Well, what's a fifth? Whatever. Who cares? They got lots of money.
Yeah,
That oil money, everything else. You just wonder. You wonder if more coaches would. You would like more coaches to talk like that in all the leagues in football, baseball, basketball. Basketball, you wouldn't. I don't think you would get away with that at all in basketball with those prima donnas. You would not be able to say anything at all of those guys because they will say, okay, I'm just not playing for you anymore. And it's just one of those things where you wonder how other coaches or other leagues, the players would be. You can't say that, but you did, so I can't do it. Like, you wonder what would be like if it happened because quarterbacks are prima donnas a little bit too. Like if Brady had a really bad day, and Belichick didn't mind saying some things to get him motivated a little bit, and it's always back to Brady talk no matter what. Belichick wouldn't mind calling his players out and getting to that little bit. So you wonder why it doesn't happen more often. Give these guys a little kick because a pat in the back is only 3 feet, but a kick in the ass, right? And so you wonder why it wouldn't happen a little bit more, because these guys are so entitled over the years and everything else. But I don't know. It's just you wish it would happen a little more often.
Well, Popovich with the Spurs, he don't mind getting a little growly. Like he's been known to be kind of a dick. More sort of the reporters. He just doesn't like giving interviews. Period. Because the Spurs have been kind of irrelevant for the last 5 years since Duncan left. You don't see him as often. He doesn't come across my feed so much anymore. But you got your old school coaches, some of them that don't mind spouting off. And then you got your coaches like Steve Kerr with Golden State. He's more of a huggy feely guy, right? He's in touch. He seems to be a man of the people, and like because he was an I guess all these guys are, but different folks, different strokes, right? Like he'd rather hug it out than kick you in the ass, and that's and right in the middle is where 90% of everybody else is.
The hockey season's kind of going. You have teams that are going for it a little bit, and they showed what they're going to do at the deadline. They said, okay, we're going to go for it. We made some deals. We have a team here that we believe in. We added a piece here, a piece there. I think maybe the Rangers, like Jim said earlier, Jim's from Fan of the Van, he was wondering what our thoughts were on the King going to the Rangers. I thought that was a huge deal for the Rangers. I didn't think it was going to happen. I wish he would have just stayed in Chicago. But you just wonder when teams are going for it and they say, okay, yeah, we're making these deals that we're adding a piece here and there. It's hard to do in the National Hockey League because of the salary cap and everything else. But you wonder, you see a lot of teams, Dave and Jim. I want you to chime in on this. You see a lot of guys who don't have a chance to do anything, and teams that don't have a chance and they didn't make any deals at the deadline, and giving their that's GMs and ownerships telling their fan bases, we're not going for it. It's time to mail it in because the season's over and we ain't doing nothing to improve our team because there's no point. Jim, did you get that sense out in Vancouver's been out of it for a long time, but did you get that sense around the National Hockey League that GMs just said we're not in it, so what's the point?
A little bit, yeah. I think we've kind of accepted that we're not going to be winning much the rest of the year, but also Really, all I'm hearing about from this draft class is Bedard. I really don't know much about the rest of it. That might just be my own ignorance, but we're not getting the first overall pick. So I'm not really sure how effective this is going to be, given that how often does in the NHL that first, second, third overall pick really turn around your franchise if you're not going to use it as a trade asset later on?
Yeah, like I like Dave. Would you rather your GM or coach or whoever come out and say, "Listen, we're not very good. We're there's going to be pain." It was remember Babcock said it a few years ago with the Leafs, and then they went out and then they ended up getting Matthews, and then other NHL teams more so, and then the Blackhawks had put out that letter saying that it's going to be a rough go of it. Would you rather a team tell you flat out outright at whatever point in the season? Yeah, we're done. We're mailing her in because we ain't doing it. And if a fan base can't see it, that's on them because most times a fan base will see it, right? Like it's and a team will see it. Like the players will see it that nothing happened, right? But if would you rather the team itself come out and say we're done, we're not doing it?
Well, I don't think that you need an official proclamation. You can tell by what happens. What happened this year is, the trade deadline comes and goes, and, the Flames, they rearranged some deck chairs on the Titanic. They moved pieces just because, like, it was, those players aren't going to have any effect on any game, I don't know, ever. So I don't even know why they make those trades. You got teams like the Predators and Detroit who are in it. Like they're not in it, but they're sniffing. They're right there
They're
for
licking
it.
the jar a little bit. Yeah.
Licking the jar, and then both them like, fuck, this ain't the year. Right? They're right there in points, like with the Flames kind of thing. And both Stevie Y and the guy we just talked about who's retiring, Poile, they said, now let's get some assets. And so let's reload for another year because these guys can help. I can get some more prospects for the future because this simply isn't our year. Making the playoffs isn't good enough for them. Making the playoffs for other teams is a huge thing. Like Minnesota seems to make the playoffs every year, but they make no noise. I think it's important for Seattle. I don't know what kind of moves they made. It's important for them to make the playoffs because that's going to be a lot of fun for the fans. Oilers, they made a couple trades for some D-men. I didn't see how the fuck did they end up with Jonathan Quick? Jesus Christ. Why don't they get Quick? And then I gotta watch Skinner and Soupy play for those guys.
Man, Campbell's having a rough go of it. Hey, like he looked like fucking Brent Radlinski in the net the other night, man. He was terrible. He's got like in the last 5 starts, I think he's got an .840 save percentage. Like it's just awful.
You're telling me Quick's not better than that guy?
Well, that's just it. Like, just because you have no money, find a way to get some money somewhere, somehow, and do something. Because the NHL, they have that problem with the trade deadline, and it's like mailing it in. Like you wonder, like you got a lot of baseball teams that right now that the season's 25 days away, whatever it is. There's 10 to 15 teams that aren't winning. There's not, and like I don't think there should be an official announcement, like you said, Dave. But should the players who are on those teams, they know. Like what are they playing for? Like future contracts and everything else. But it must be a tough slug to go to the arena or the ball field or the football field or whatever it is on a daily basis, knowing you're going to get your teeth kicked in and there's nothing you can do about it.
Well, that's why no one goes anymore, man. Like the games are not nearly as well attended as they have been in the past, and I completely understand why. On top of the ridiculous prices and all that, but we're not winning, and we know that we're not going to win for a long time. So why would you just go there and spend the money, take the time to go and watch your team lose? I totally get it. It's a tough thing to watch night in, night out.
When do you get, Dave? Like, when do you get to a point with your team where, like, when they're mailing it in, and you say "fuck it" as a fan too? Like, because winning's tough. I think we say it every show now that winning is a tough thing to do. Like, when do you just go? As a fan now, I'm mailing it into it because if they're not trying, why should I? I mean, because there's teams like, and we could go through the NFL schedule right now. There's 12 to 13 NFL teams that aren't winning next year. From right this moment on March the 6th, 2023, we know. When do fan bases just so you know what? Fuck it. I'm not going either.
Well,
If they're not putting the effort in, why should I?
Well, now who's they? The fans, the management, the coach? Because Calgary Flame fan, like if I understand what you might be going through from someone who has divorced a professional franchise, reach out. I'll walk you through the process because it is a freeing process. It frees your heart to say fuck those guys.
Freeze your heart.
It frees, not freeze as in cold. It opens up
No, I
your
know.
heart. Yeah. When management makes the most ridiculous decision day in, year out, and doesn't do anything, they're just moving the deck chairs on that Titanic, and they're not addressing the appropriate needs. And I'm glad I haven't asked the Oilers back out on a date, because fuck that. They can't get a goalie. Like there's no way in hell the Oilers are going to win the Stanley Cup this year. The only person I feel bad for is McDavid, because that asshole is playing his balls off, and he's not going to even. The only time he gets to see the cup is on TV. I get just as close as he does. So I don't even know what. I don't know where every individual fan's limit is. Like if you're. But you could be the lovable fan, like the Cubs, 100 years. The Bo Sox, there's fans of them. They bask in their in the curse of their franchises. The Cleveland Browns, like those motherfuckers, like why would anyone? They just get like back in my day when they were the original Cleveland Browns, which are the Ravens now. John Elway ripped out their hearts and served it to them on a plate a couple years in a row. Then the owner did them dirty. Left town, went to Baltimore, and then since they got the new incarnation of this franchise, they've made the playoffs twice, and now you got an owner who was, I think, convicted on racketeering charges, and he doesn't care one fucking thing. He puts Buddy the.
Did you just make that up, or is this?
Oh no, Jimmy.
Podcasts are great. We can say whatever the fuck we want. No one fact checks our shit, right? We just whatever. Here you go. Say whatever you want and go.
Oh
go
no,
nuts.
I think he owns Flying J, and they did like some sneaky bookkeeping. They cooked the books on fuel logs and what have you for rebates. Like it was serious.
Let me give this a goog. Who?
Oh yeah,
Jimmy.
Yeah, no, yeah. You just because the amount of money and time a fan exists or puts into following a team and everything else, and to not even give a chance, give your like when the franchise that you love and follow doesn't give you a chance to enjoy anything. Like at some point you can just enjoy a game and not watch it. Like you could just enjoy, like I'm a Yankee guy, obviously, and I can put on a Dodgers versus Padres game and probably get just as much enjoyment out of it, and my heart's not getting ripped out of my insides, right? So like mailing it in as a fan it should be a lot easier, shouldn't it?
Oh yeah, like in hockey, the only time I get worked up is for Bronco games, and I watched it. After whatever game 8, I knew this season was ruined, and so I took my foot off the emotional gas. But still, it's going through the rigmaroles of a long season, like in hockey and baseball. Like if you care too much, it's just not even worth it anymore sometimes. And then you start getting superstitious. Oh, I did start watching to the 3rd inning, and then they came back. And then like, well, I got to wait till this. And then it's, that's kind of the fun parts about being a fan, going through superstitions because in the back of your head, it's absolute bullshit, but it's kind of fun because the team, you remember when the team won is when you wore your lucky gaunch, right?
Like I always find it funny every year around this time because hockey's got, now you're getting down to X amount of games going. We'll talk hockey a little bit more, but baseball does it a lot more with you got this many games left. When you start becoming a mathematician for your team, you're fucked. Your team is done. Like you're done.
Oh yeah.
Like when you got to bring the calculator and the abacus out and the whole bit, you're fucked. There's no getting around that. Yeah.
The radio heads in Calgary were saying Calgary needed 30 of their last 40 points to have a 50-50 chance at the playoffs, and they ripped off a 3-game losing streak. Like, just put a gun to that team season. It's over.
Yeah, no, it's sports is funny that way, especially like as a fan. And the thing is that the players know it. Like right now, like there's a lot of teams who are licking the jar a little bit, and yeah, they're going to go put an effort in. But the Flames, they're 6 or 7 points out with 20 games left, and they got to jump 3 or 4 teams. It's tough to do, right? And it's really hard to get going on that, and you can't. Like, it's so bizarre how you just think that your team has a chance. The players know, and real fans deep down inside, they probably know that your team's done. And it's just a funny situation. And sports fans, we're a bit stupid when it comes down to it, Jim, aren't we?
Sorry, I was just fact checking Dave there. Not convicted, but accused. So we're not gonna.
Okay.
We know that we're not.
So an alleged racketeer. Okay.
Allegedly.
Alleged
Allegedly, he has
racketeering.
done some less than. He's been up to some no good, but we don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, like they don't just come. Like someone just doesn't make that up, though. Someone somewhere.
So like the Cleveland thing is kind of mesmerizing to me because you have guys that. Or a franchise that just seems to like Jim says, fan of the van. He says Cleveland's going to Cleveland. Cleveland's going to Cleveland, right? No matter what. And you have like Mets are going to Mets, and you have these franchises that no matter what, they can't get out of their own way. And it starts right at the top a lot of the time, no matter what. And you just fall into that mode where it's just we're fucked. We're done. Like it's insane how that happens. How there's franchises that just this is what we are. We're never going to win, and never is a long time. Like the Buffalo Sabres have never won, and like they're not winning this year. They're not winning next year. They're licking the jar a little bit. They got some good players, but Buffalo's going to Buffalo, right?
Yeah.
They're just not going to win.
But they try, and the fans care there, right? Like that might be the town too. Like the Bills, this was their year, right? The 4 years in a row with Jim Kelly. That was supposed to be their year. I don't know what's gonna go with that team. I actually I don't mind them. I dig their fan base and they try hard. When you're saying the players mailing it in though, like when Calgary fan boos, when the home team boos you off the ice, like deafening boos, then that has to hit home. Then it comes back to it that hurts, and you got to think about it yourself. Like how did I deserve that boo? Like we deserve that boo, and someone's gonna get mad. I hope someone's breaking sticks. Jesus Christ, that was fucking embarrassing. And then like get in people's faces. And if you don't want to come, I don't care. Stay home, get your paycheck because that's.
But how are you a professional athlete? Like, how do you get to this level where it takes somebody booing you, somebody who you'll never meet, that you don't know who the fuck they are? If that's what it takes to get motivated, who the fuck? You don't want that kind of guy on your team, anyways.
I'm not saying motivate you. I'm saying it's the kick in the ass because it just. A little bit shittier, a little bit shittier, a little bit shittier, and then you're in a mood, and then you're this, and you don't even realize. Like I could see how it happens. Is all I'm saying.
Well,
go ahead, Jim.
You've never been kicked in the ass before. Being booed is all right. Finally, you get kicked in the ass. Maybe that's what you need. Like a lot of these guys don't have experience with those hard ass coaches, so you get booed by your fans, and that's kind of that wake up call of like, oh, I do have to do better. I do have to do more.
I don't think these prima donnas give a fuck about getting booed. I don't. I really don't.
Oh yeah, yeah. Unless you're a heel in the WWE, like it's like you're not getting paid to be booed, and I gotta guess getting booed hurts. I don't know. I know what it feels like to get booed, but not by 20,000 people, right? Getting booed. Yeah. I love booing, but imagine getting booed.
I don't know if I've ever been booed. I've been called like a lot of rotten names.
With the Bonneville Pontiacs, when you got
that was expected. We were losing no matter what. That was just expected. I don't think we got booed. I got told how bad I was, but I don't think we got like it was past the point of booing. They were just telling me how bad I was to my face.
So it wasn't a boo.
I don't. I mean, it's been
The
30
home
years.
fans never boo. I guess all 30 of them didn't. Couldn't. How loud?
Oh,
could
we
they boo?
packed the old RJ Lalonde back in the day, man. Like there has been at least 1,000 people there.
Yeah, 35, Dick. It's 35 people.
It's a long time ago, but yeah, we had some pretty good crowds
So
there. back
tens
there in
and tens
Bonnyville.
of boos.
The
raining
tens and
down.
tens of people booing me and besmirching my goodwill and everything else. So that's just on Thursdays. So yeah, you just wonder. Like, I don't think these guys care. I honestly don't. I bet you they like whatever in Calgary on Saturday night. They went to Cowboys afterwards, had a good old time in the casino, whatever. They booed me. I don't care. I'll roll around my millions. Who the fuck's that
Right.
guy?
Well, what happened with them tonight? I got it on the side screen there. It looks like they're putting up a good effort against. They're tied 2-2 against the Stars.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, but they're on the
I
road.
just feel that they ain't gonna make her, and it's
Well,
just gonna be like whatever. It's go
Right?
ahead, Joe.
And I get why they don't care. I mean, hell, you're gonna pay me that much? Go ahead, boo me. Like, give her. Let's do it. Like, yeah.
Well,
If
and
you're
that's a
not gonna
line,
care
and
about
that's
winning,
actually
if
line.
you're
That's
just
actually a
gonna
line that
take
I
out
use
the
30.
money.
Like you're talking about getting booed in Bonnyville. That's actually a line I used somewhere. I can't remember what rink we were in back in the day, but somebody said something to me how shitty I was or something, and I looked at him. But you paid to watch me play. What do I give a fuck?
Yeah, right. I'm still winning in this situation, so
Right? You paid to
not
watch
on the
me.
ice, but in like, yeah.
Who's the idiot here? I may
Right,
be
yeah.
shitty, but you're dumb. You paid to watch me, you fucking idiot.
Right,
Well,
yeah.
you know, I wouldn't mind paying like back in the day. I imagine he paid $10.50, got a hat and a hot dog probably to walk in. So you got a hot dog. So I paid $10 to boo you some days.
Doesn't seem very nice, anyways.
I
Is that
said
the whole
some days,
reason
not
you're going?
not every day.
No, I
Oh,
don't think
yeah.
these guys care. I don't.
Well,
No.
I've told this story when it was good seats and I got to sit behind Dallas Stars in Edmonton's barn, and I let Darian Hatcher. I got every penny out of that ticket. He knew I was booing him, and it's fun. Oh, I love booing people.
Your voice is very distinguishable too, Dave. When you get a little bit excited, it goes to a different pitch a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah,
Well,
and
yeah,
it really
wait till I get a
projects.
couple in me. Yeah.
you get a couple in you, and everything else is going along. Get a little bit of adrenaline rolling too. Then it's holy Jesus! This guy shut the fuck up, Jesus Christ!
Especially when I make eye contact with the guy in the field. Remember that
That's-
guy from Weyburn or whatever?
That's the worst, man. Like when like it's because it's. I mean, this is a long time ago, and it's a different level altogether. But that was a hard thing being like 17, 18, 19 years old. When the guy is giving you the gears a little bit to not make eye contact with a guy in the stands who's giving you the gears. That's tough because once you look, you're fucked. You are done because then that guy is on, because then the
'Cause he
stupid
knows
fan who
you know
paid his
now.
$10,
He knows
he thinks, oh no, look at me, now he's the show, and now he's getting into you. That's the worst thing you could ever do. But it's hard when you're a guy, like when you're a kid, like I was, like 17, 18, 19 years old, like I said, like you're a kid, right? And when someone's yelling at you, it's hard not to look, but it's just a simple glance to the head, and you're
that's
done.
it.
Like you are
Just
fucked.
That then he's out here going, oh, it's working.
Yeah.
And
And then
you
the
have a
rest of the
whole
people
other
pile
mess.
on, and all of a sudden that section has all the people, and they're laughing at you. Like, that's fucking terrible. And like, how NHLers can do it like up close and personal like that is beyond me. Like, Dave, when we were in Denver. Oh fuck! This is 25 years ago now too. But and Griffey, because he was at a different level, obviously, right? And our friend, God rest his soul, the real deal, Rob O'Neill. He was beaking Griffey about God knows what, God knows when. We were also probably 20 beer deep at that point. But
well, yeah, when Griff was in the on deck circle.
Griffey's on the on deck circle, and he was yelling at him, saying about his fantasy pool, his fantasy team or something. And Griffey's like, just had enough of this clown. And he just looked at Griffey and he says, I don't care, fucking trade me. And it was really quite funny that Griffey took it to the other level and basically Owen goes, did you hear that? He's talking to me. And then that shut him up. So there's other ways you can go about doing it. Like baseball's a little bit different than hockey because the plexiglass and the like. But yeah, like it's got to be tough when fans are beaking you like that to not want to say something and not say something back or not just give that little look because that'll fuck your day. Like you're fucked.
Oh yeah. And if you are going to say something, you got to make sure it's good. If you're saying something back to a fan, right?
Yeah.
Right. Those are always the stories. It's like, oh, and he shut him up, but it's never. If he does say something, it's got to be something that they can't burn you for.
Yeah, and I don't think you can even as a hockey player. Maybe if you're in the bin in the penalty box and beacon at fan or something, but it's not worth it. It's not worth your time. How are you going to win that one? But baseball, like, yeah, if you're above the dugout, yeah, it's pretty easy to make eye contact with some guy walking back to the dugout between innings, and that's kind of fun doing it that way.
Yeah,
I like sitting above the visitors' dugout.
I don't know if there's a situation, other like we talked about only doing it years ago, but I don't think there's a situation where a player would benefit much from saying something to a fan that is like, if a guy, you can't tell him, if the guy says, fuck you, I hate you, Watson, or whoever. Watson can't say fuck you back, because then it's a thing. It's on TMZ or whatever the fuck right now, right? And it's clickbait for us idiots to do these podcasts and stuff, right? So I don't think there's any benefit to talking back to a fan. I as an athlete, I don't think there is anything, because it's not going to go well for you in the end.
I agree. No. Yeah, it's not going to make you feel better than, because yeah, it's brutal. What was that? The Bosa outside of Philadelphia before the Niners game, Bosa's brother was like threw the gay blast at that Philly fan, and I make more money. Like, how is those fines? I don't care because I'm rich as shit. Like, really? That's the kind of smack you're gonna come at me from? Like that? It's
right.
It's stupid. Yeah.
Speaking of brothers,
like
what's with fucking Mahomes' brother gotten shit again for groping some restaurant owner and kissing her or something? Like, when is Patrick Mahomes, who seems like a pretty solid guy to me, like he seems like a pretty down to earth. He was telling Kelsey to shut up in the Super Bowl, basically the sideways glance when Kelsey was saying they don't respect us, and fuck off, Kelsey. And that was a thought. That was a look that I thought that Mahomes was giving to Kelsey at that moment. But wouldn't you think that Mahomes would tell his brother to cool it, man? Like, just can you just not?
I don't think he has
had the conversation. I feel like he just hasn't had enough to actually cut him off.
He's rolling with Patrick's wife. Like, yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. I would cut that boy off.
Man, pack them up. Pack them up and send them to the curb, man. You don't need that.
I just fucking.
You're embarrassing.
Give me back my American Express card. Give me back the fuck off and stay fucked off. Right? Like, it's a bad look. And now with everything the way it is, and I don't want to say cancel culture and say those kind of things, because that's ridiculous, because the guy's an asshole and he's an idiot. But when it's time to just shut it, just shut it. And he's at that point now. Like, why we shouldn't even know this guy's name.
Truly,
right?
We shouldn't.
We shouldn't know his name and how he gets himself in the news all the time. It's a fucking mystery. And you think that a guy like Mahomes is probably the best player in the National Football League would have the gumption, or maybe he has, I don't know. But to say, dude, no more, like, enough. That's it. I don't know.
You have to.
I don't get it. I'd like to hope that he's sat him down and had conversations or whatever, like tried to put a stop to it. But yeah, the way that it's not happening makes me feel like he hasn't. And I don't get it. Yeah. How do you not realize that you're embarrassing your brother more and yourself? But like,
you're bad for the brand.
Exactly.
Bad for the brand, and that's the biggest thing. Anyways, this segment is brought to you by RexMD.com. Save 90% and on your erectile drug meds by going to RexMD.com/bellyup today.
Fellas, do you sometimes need a little help in the bedroom? Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and our sponsors at RexMD are here to help you make this the best night of your life. Erectile dysfunction is a common medical issue that over 30 million men in the U.S. tackle every day. We've all had those nights where we get too nervous and just need a little help. The doctors at RexMD will evaluate you online, no office visit needed, and ship medication directly to your door before the big day. With RexMD, they're here to help and provide you with real FDA-approved medications at the best price. Act now to take advantage of their Valentine's Day deal by heading to RexMD.com/bellyup. Our exclusive deal will save you up to 90% off, where you'll pay as low as $2 per dose on generic Viagra instead of $90+ on Viagra. That's RexMD/BellyUp for 90% off. Your partner will thank you.
The 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. I was pouring a beer there for myself. Brought to you by, I screwed that up trying to get myself another beer. Anyways, the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. 4 beer sports talk and a whole lot more. Brought to you by SeatGeek.com, the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420POD at SeatGeek.com today and save yourself $20 on your first purchase of Major League Baseball tickets that's coming up right away. Dave, earlier, I think it was on Friday or Saturday. It don't matter which day it was. No, who gives a shit what day people say stuff. We can talk about whatever we want, whenever we want, because it's our show. But Tony Clark, the president of the Major League Baseball Players Association, he came out and said that there is no way, no how that the Major League Baseball Players Association will ever agree to a salary cap. Good move, bad move, or what's your thoughts on that? Because to me, Jesus, man, there's a lot more have-not teams in that league than there are have teams, and I think that this might be a death wish for baseball.
Putting a salary cap on, you want that or you don't want that? Well, I think it's just much ado about nothing. If the baseball unit has shown us anything, it's like once they start going to miss paychecks, they buckle like a belt. Like it's brutal how bad that union pulled. Same with the NFL, right? You know, there's no solidarity. They don't have the minor leaguers at heart. They don't have all the big wigs. The guys making max money want to keep making max money. Everybody making minimum money thinks one day they're gonna make max money, so they all want to be have a deal that allows for max money, and no one's thinking about the 30 to 40% of the players, the ham and eggers, the AAA players and down, working for fucking minimum wage. They're staying they're staying in flea-bitten hotels, riding the bus. Got to rake the fields between innings, and they got to do their own laundry. Like, fuck. Like, baseball has to start taking care of itself. It's unconscionable how bad baseball treats its minor league players. And that has to change, and it never will. It never will, because all the players at the end of the day want is the money that's up for them. They don't think of anything of the players coming up through the system.
This going back a long time, Dave, but 1994, the National Hockey League went on their lockout. They got the strike, whatever. I can't remember if it was a lockout or a strike. There's been so many over the years, and at the end of the day, the players, they say we're not accepting salary cap. We're not doing this. We're not doing that. And then after some guys lost entire seasons, and some guys lost like $4 and $5 million bucks, and then all of a sudden, well, they accepted it. At the end of the day, once again, it goes back to the first segment. They're just employees, man. If you want to sit, we're rich. We don't care. And you hate to use the millionaire-billionaire situation because it's a thing, but it's a thing. It's a millionaires versus billionaires, and the billionaires will sit out. Like it doesn't matter to them. They're employees, whatever. Like they don't give a shit. There's not many owners that want to win championships year in, year out, and so it doesn't much matter to them if they miss a season. Like it's absolutely insane that baseball thinks that the Players Association, the players think that they're bigger than the game, because they're not. They'll just get somebody else to do it for cheaper, and I wholeheartedly believe that. Jim?
Yeah, that's the whole thing, is these owners are fine not paying these guys, so they're never going to win their strike or whatever, like strike or lockout. They try so hard not to pay them. These owners are fine without having to pay you. So it's just a thing that's never going to work out in their favor, I think. Especially when it comes to baseball, well, you got it, spend it. Like let's make these teams competitive, but they're going to spend as little as they can regardless of a salary cap, especially these teams that are not competitive or even borderline, that I don't really see a huge need for it.
You know,
Dave, do you think? Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, well, just the only other thing that I would be pissing and moaning more for a salary floor as opposed to a salary cap, because then if you get a third of the teams pay so little in salary that's part of the problem. If they would open up their wallets a little bit, because once the big fish are gone, then now these players, these mid-market players, like, I got to sign somewhere, and this is the best offer I got on the table. But now maybe if the Pirates, the Marlins, the Diamondbacks, if they weren't such skinflints, maybe if I can get a little bit of a minor league bidding war between these three, then I can get a $10 million contract as opposed to having to settle for 8 with the Pirates.
The thing that's brutal about it, Dave and Jim, is that like I said earlier on, that Cabrera is he's gonna make $31 million this year on a Detroit Tigers team that's spending $116 million, I think it is. So they're down to $84 million without him on that team. And then what's the shortstop what the heck's his name, played for the Cubs for the World Series team? He's making $24 million. So you got two guys making $55 million. That's half of what their team would be making. They don't care. These owners don't care. And for the Players Association to come out and saying we will never accept a salary cap, we won't have any place for these guys to go, because they're going to just price themselves out, because there isn't enough teams to pay these guys. A third of the teams are spending less, around the $100 million mark. That's 2 pitchers for the Mets. It's not going to work. Like, it's just for these guys to say baseball's in a big problem right now, and there's going to be a lockout or a strike or whatever it's going to be that's going to hit this game hard, and people aren't going to care. And that's the problem that baseball has. Don't worry about pitch clocks. Don't worry about the shift. This is the problem that baseball has, and it's a money thing, because people already aren't going, and that's a major problem that baseball has.
That is a good question. I never really thought about it. With the pitch clock and shortening games, is that for the benefit of people in the stands, or or for television? Because television probably wants it a more bricked off thing, so we can start show B at 10:30 Eastern. But if you're dragging your ass and we're not getting good ratings and this and that, we want some finite of confines of when we can start our next scheduled program, as opposed to having game 87 between the Braves and the Rockies going on for 3.5 hours, because there's 4 or 5 pitching changes and they're taking their time. I don't know.
I think it's 100% a television thing, because not only is it you're getting to the next program on time, but also that's the quicker you're getting in and out of innings, and between innings is when you're getting all your ad revenue. So I think that's also part of it. The more pitches you have to throw, the quicker the innings are going to go. The quicker the innings go, the more ads you get, the more money you make there. No one's watching anyway, so who cares? That's kind of what I think it is with the pitch clock.
And that's the thing, is that I don't think network executive A gives a shit about a baseball game. Mm-mm. They're about making money so they can also keep their jobs, and then they get their bonuses and whatever else it may be. And I don't think that the problem is the length of the game. I think, like you said, Dave, I actually think I agree with you. It's 100% the reason why they don't have they could have shorter commercial breaks. They're not going to do that because the revenue's there, right, on ads. And then they want to shorten games, because then they get this TV show, Dr. Wong or Dr. Ho, whatever is that, Dr. Pimple Popper, whatever the fuck is on next, and they paid money. So if we get this many shows on, they all make money. And the reason why base owners have these teams is to make money. Pretty simple. They don't care about championships. If they win one, great. But these guys have teams to make money, and the way these players, man, they better watch themselves, because if they think the owners are going to budge on this one, they're sadly fucking mistaken. Sadly mistaken.
Ooh.
Yeah, with this Bally Sports Network defaulting on their payments too, it affects NBA, Major League Baseball, and hockey. But I've read that it affects baseball more than anything. There might be a huge revenue problem.
I I think there's
More
12 to
baseball.
13 teams that go with Bally that just that we're out, right? Like
Yeah,
it's,
and then so now they got no money, and Major League Baseball will help for a little bit, but then these are the same owners saying to the Yankees and Dodgers, like, hey, you're spending too much money. Oh, and now your hands out because we're rich, right? You piss and moan when we sign all these guys to big contracts, but now that your pissant regional deal fell through, you want me to help you out. Get bent.
like there has to be some kind of a salary floor. There's no doubt about that. But as far as a cap goes, I think there needs to be a cap. But I'm also anti-cap because these owners got so much fucking money, and I don't know. There's a competitive balance or imbalance, I guess. There's a payroll discrepancy and disparity, obviously, but these players, man, I honestly, they better just shut their yaps because the owners will dig their feet in this time around, and then you're going to have a situation where there's only 3 or 4 have teams with the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Mets now, and Boston. They're kind of taking a slow down on what they've been paying. There's going to be a lot of teams saying, you know what, fuck it, we're not doing it. They're already there's a lot of teams already not paying. So why? Who do these players think they are to continue what's going on? Like
The
they're not
Padres
going
did.
to.
Padres
are right there too. They're top 5 or 6, which I still haven't done any research on that to see how they spend that kind of money. But it's crazy. Like you're gonna have teams that saying, nope, you know what? Lock them out. We don't care.
Mm-hmm. I agree, and baseball's in trouble because I think of the unions as well. There's the least amount of unity because there are so many players scattered throughout so many leagues, like from the majors to A ball, and B, there's so much international differences in that league, and the poverty level of where some of these players come from. Like there's the fact that the Astros had 3 pitchers that saw action in the playoffs that they're paying a combined $180,000 to. That's because they signed them as 16-year-old kids that didn't know any better, that didn't have their families didn't have a pot to piss in. That's taking advantage of the players. And I don't know if that's good on Houston for finding these diamonds in the rough, or shame on them because they probably have 100 of them signed, but now 3 of them make it to the pros and played meaningful roles to get them their World Series.
That's a good point, Dave. I'm glad I never thought of that. Like you have guys that come from nothing, and then you have now you have a lot of like professional sports, and we talk about a lot on our show is a lot of these kids come from money now, right? And they have the training, and especially the North American kids, obviously it come from money and the training that they get, and on. We talked about it ad nauseum. Are North American kids going to eventually, especially in baseball, are they going to price themselves out because there's some kid from the Dominican who comes from nothing, doesn't even play the real baseball glove. Let's and they got all the talent in the world, Cuba, whatever it may be. I'm not being racist. I'm not being anything. Is it going to come to a situation where these owners and GMs and everybody else will go, well, we'll just sign 12 of these Dominican kids instead because we can get it for a lot cheaper. And Buddy, who wants $15 million a year to sign, we're not going to. Like, is that going to be a situation that's going to come to that?
I think it has already. I have no idea what I was listening to, but it was just like African. No, but like the African American, not influenced players in the league has been on a steady decline. It's dropping. It's less and less every year. Like we see a lot of black players, but most of those players now are coming from Honduras and Puerto Rico and the Dominican and whatever. They're not American players anymore. Like they're now being funneled into not funneled. Baseball's not the opportunity because they don't have the proper exposure to organized baseball where one can get discovered. Right? You're not gonna. At the end of the day, what makes regardless of how gifted you are at the sport of baseball, you need someone to pitch to you, and you need to hit. And if you don't have the framework and the organizations to give you that kind of exposure, you're not going to get better at it. Whereas in basketball, And football. Yeah, it's more school sports, right? And like you can get your exposure at baseball in school as well, but you can't practice baseball by yourself.
Jim, we talked about it before, and you obviously you listen to our show more than anybody does. You do it 2 or 3 times every time it comes out. I mean, I rarely listen to the whole thing, but
yeah, I get my fix.
We've talked about it a time or two, and I want your take on this. Does baseball have a baseball problem, or does baseball have a marketing problem?
It's marketing, man. I hate that I can't just watch a freaking baseball game. That's one thing. I cannot watch a Jays game. If I'm going out to a little pub on a Sunday afternoon or something, or whatever, like baseball isn't ever on because when it's not marketed properly, no one's doing that. But also, yeah, the streaming and the blackouts and all that, well, how the hell do you expect me to get into this if you can't let me watch it to get into this? That's what I think. I think that, yeah, with streaming and blackouts and whatnot, it's really hurt it, and they haven't adapted to that the way they should have.
Yeah, because like the rule changes are one thing to try to make the game better, but if you're trying to make the game better for people who aren't watching anyway, so what the fuck's the point?
They're not going to watch because of these rule changes, because do you know what? They're not watching. They don't know about the rule changes. So who cares? Why are we changing it for people who aren't going to care regardless? They're not going to watch regardless. They don't know what – you don't watch baseball. If I say ban the shift, you don't know what I'm talking about. If I talk about a pitch clock, chances are you didn't know there wasn't already one. Like nobody who doesn't watch baseball is going to care. And that's and they're not going to know. So yeah, that's the one thing I don't get about all this.
And like if you want to be able to catch Blue Jay fans, the MLB app blocking out games is absolute garbage. Like that drives me absolutely bonkers, right? Because now, because Sportsnet wants you to have, Rogers wants you to have their app on their phone. You don't want this. Like, just access is access, and it shouldn't matter where you're getting it because it all kind of goes into the same pot. I get it that it doesn't because Sportsnet is going to have, but you know what? When I'm watching NFL games on DAZN, it finds a local feed. I'm watching Canadian ads on there, right? It's so I don't know how the feeds work, but Major League Baseball has to figure that shit out too. So then it's Sportsnet can put it away and just say, well, these advertisers are doing it. Well, then give us your fucking feed, and they'll see your ads. And, that's now you can charge your advertisers more just because you're not getting the $30 a month subscription fee for your shitty ass app. I hate Rogers. I hate telecom companies. I want to go back to carrier pigeon.
Like good point, Jim. I was talking to somebody. I can't do so many of these damn shows over the course of a week. I was talking to somebody about this exact thing. And if you live in the state of Iowa, you can't watch any baseball games basically because you're too close to Chicago, you're too close to Milwaukee, you're too close to here, you're too close to there. So you don't get to watch any games because you could go to the game and this cable company got this blacked out because of this. It's absolutely fucking insane that the people who run baseball don't see this, that they do not see that they are the actual problem, that why people aren't going to games anymore. They like the Detroit Tigers are going to lose 102 games this year. The Washington Nationals are going to lose 120 games this year, and no one's going. The Baltimore had a pretty good year last year, and they might squeak in. They almost squeaked in last year, but there's teams that are going to lose 100 plus games, and they say, well, why aren't people watching? Why aren't people going? One, they don't know that it's on. Two, they don't care because the teams are so fucking shitty, and it's crazy that it's crazy that the players think that they're so indestructible that they're going to be forced to have these guys. If the owners don't care, then why should we?
Well, yeah, I don't see why. Well, because we actually like the game.
Yeah, it's not a toy, right? Like, yeah, once emotions,
because like you're gonna watch regardless. You're gonna have based on whether.
Well, because I watch.
Well, other than you watch whatever. If there's a game on, you're gonna watch it, and there are other people who are like that as well. And People will go and start watching NCAA baseball or like whatever it is, or go and seeing their wooden bat team going and spending the whatever, however much it is to go and see a WCBL game or whatever it may be.
It's expensive. Like it's fucking expensive to go to a game. We lost Jim somehow. He must have lost internet connection or whatever. It's expensive to go to a ball game, and man, there's 81 of them a year. You can't expect people to be going every one of them. You can't.
Nope. That's a commitment, right? And you can't. Well, maybe you can if you're retired. Good on you if you do it.
Well, you can sit wherever. Like most ball games, you get in for $10 or $8 if you want to sit way the hell up somewhere. But a beer is $20, and then this is $20, and then the box of popcorn's this, and everything else. Like it's baseball better. And like I said, I don't think baseball's a baseball problem. I think they have a marketing problem, and I don't think they understand that they do. And the higher ups, and it's right from it's the GMs, it's the commissioner, it's everybody else that's just messed up. That they don't see it. There's Jim's back. But
yeah, it just booted me. I don't know what happened there.
That was me bad-mouthing the telecom agency.
Oh, yeah. Dave, you got me booted, man.
They streamed into this new thing we got going. I said, get the fuck out. They missed
me. Yeah.
Yeah, the MLB was listening.
What MLB has to do is like, and I don't know it because I didn't even look into the tickets. For the afternoon game, it was like sitting on the surface of the sun, but in deep center field, they have a fairly large section, just bleachers, not seats, for fans, and it's the fan zone. And I'm hoping they have cheap soda, cheap popcorn.
There's family sections most ballparks, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what you got to do. Like that's what you got to do. Show your student card and get in for $10. Get people addicted to coming, because that's where you make a fan for life. Get people addicted to coming.
I tell you what, Dave, and I've said this a lot. Like unless you're like those tickets that are really expensive, I get they make money on like Legend Suites and that kind of deal. I get it that they make a good chunk of change on those, but you will always make more money on concessions. Get people in the building, get them in the game, no matter what. Because if they don't have to spend $25 on a ticket, they will spend that $25 on a beer, popcorn, hot dog, burger, pizza, whatever the fuck it might be. Get people in the building. You will make more money. I don't give a fuck if your team is decent and wins a few games. You will get people in the building, and you will make more money. And that's just that's simple. That is simple.
And I think the Rockies have that figured out, because they're up in the top third of attendance. Their team is always middle of the ground, but they have a pretty decent fan day experience. All those from when we were there that I showed you, that whole section, they turned into just bars. That thing is jamming. It's full of people spending money all the time.
Yankee Stadium has that same thing now. They did some renos upstairs there in the top deck. We went and did that last year and sat in some different places and saw that the first day we were there, and there was all those kinds of different places to do. And baseball, and get people in the building. Get people in the building. Because people's entertainment dollar is stretched so fucking thin nowadays. It is. It really, really is. And so if you make them forget about it, they will. And that's just how it is. Anyways, that's my thoughts. I don't know.
Give them a reason to keep coming, right? Because those people that are drinking there, they're going to go drink at the sports bar, but they're drinking there for the game. They're drinkers. That's what they are. They just happen to drink at the game. You gotta do something more to get the families and give mom and pop a reason to get the kid out there, and get the kid down when he's 14 and he's playing hooky from school. Him and a buddy are going to take the subway and go to a baseball game because it's not going to cost them $100.
Yeah, no, it's Dave. I don't know when I think the bargaining agreement's up in 2 years. I think with baseball. What's the over under that they're going to be on strike for or locked out for a year? Is it 100% or 0%? What's your thoughts? I think it's going to be a long battle this time around.
Oh no. They might play 100 game schedule 1 year, but that's it.
players will just fold like Rita McNeil on a lawn chair, right?
Oh, you bet. They'll fold. They'll fold.
And that's what I don't understand. The players always, they don't lose because they're rich beyond belief, but they never
But
win.
they're not rich beyond belief. A third of them are rich beyond belief.
Yeah.
Right. And then when you look at who's on the players' bargaining agreement, it's all names we know. It should be names we don't know. Because that's a third. That's 2/3 of the players.
Anyways. The 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, 4 beer with sports talk and a whole lot more, brought to you by SeatGeek and SeatGeek.com and the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420pod at SeatGeek.com today and save yourself $20.
SeatGeek is the ticketing app for fans like the high five strangers got, game-winning interception, first down, just a nice solid tackle. If you're in arm's length, you will be swapping skin with this extrovert. You see, he knows SeatGeek got him a great deal on tickets, so he can focus on what he does best, smacking palms. SeatGeek handles the tickets to sports, concerts, and more, so fans can fan.
Jim's gone again. I don't know what happened to Jim. There he is. The 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, 4 beer sports talk and a whole lot more. Those who joined us in the live stream tonight, thank you very much. It'll be up on our normal podcast situation or stations tomorrow. Thank you very much for everybody who's watched tonight. We've had a good time doing this. It's a little bit different, but it's a thing, and it's something we want to do about once a month, and we'll get a little bit better at it as as time goes on. Anyways, Jim, you came on a little bit late today for the show. What happened on Saturday? You're on the radio the whole bit, and then what happened? Oh, you're on mute again.
Yeah. So on Saturday, I ended up having a day where I went and had my first live performance on the radio, which is really cool. I get that a lot of people don't listen to radio anymore. A lot of people my age, especially, don't listen to the radio. But regardless, it was interesting. It was a lot of fun. Went in, played 3 songs on Unsigned BC. If you want to hear that show, it's available.
Still up on there. You can see
it's up on unsignedbc.com. So that is still up there. Super fun. I had a great time. Met a bunch of great people. A lot of great artists were also there on the show, and ended up, looking to get back on there in a little while. Hoping to return. They played a few of my songs already, which was excellent. But I'd like to thank them for having me on, and thank everyone who listened. It was awesome.
No, I listened. It was kind of neat to hear you on. You've done some songs before for us and everything else. But we'll get this going in there. We'll talk after the show about how we can get some more of your stuff on these live streams and everything else, because it's a good thing for both of our shows. Dave, I don't know what year did it start, or when did we start this Who Is Better thing? 'Cause it's one of my favorite things to do on our show, because it's really quite simple. And I don't know if people know the backstory of how this all got going. And I don't know if you even know it.
It was in your it was in Yankee Tavern when we first started, when we were sharing a mic, like a couple kids huddled around the transistor radio. Someone's playing music. Is that you, Jim?
It's my roommate.
Oh, okay. But nonetheless, that's where we started it, back in the
actual truth behind the whole story, Dave. And I don't think I've even told you this, is that when we first got going on this podcast back in, and you came on show number 2 or 3 back in August of 2020, or it's August, September. I can't remember what show it was.
19, because it was 19.
20. It was 20. It was COVID. It was after my dad passed away. Trust me, it was 2020.
You're right. Sorry, I apologize. Yep.
No, it's fine. And I was bantering about with Deanna about stuff we could talk about, because like when you're first getting into this podcast stuff, when we still don't know what the fuck we're doing, it's a struggle day in, day out to come up with ideas and stuff. But like we because we've been friends for a long time, and we disagreed a lot. Like when we're out drinking and having a good time, we disagree about a lot of things. But on the show, it got to a point where we were agreeing too much, and there was no banter, and it was just like, you say this, you say that, yeah. And then it was over. Like, fuck, well, that didn't work out very good. And we agreed too much. So it was kind of funny. So I got to just thinking, no matter what, and I came up with Who Is Better, for the simple reason that whatever you said, I was going to disagree with no matter what.
Oh, I'm
Just
mentioning that who is better, but be with Would You Rather. In my opinion.
who is better was one of
Yeah.
those things.
Yeah.
No matter what you said, whether I agreed or not, I was going to disagree just for some more banter. How who is better all came about back in 2020 or early when we first started doing this thing. So,
I remember you texted me about this. I'll try and find the message, but you said whatever Dave says, I'm just gonna go against him. And I was like, all right,
Yeah,
I'll
I'm
try
just
and,
gonna say no matter what.
find the text and
we're
I'll send a
agreeing,
screenshot.
we're just agreeing too much, and that's how who is better came apart or came around. Are you ready, boys, to do some who is better? Jim, you might not know who some of these guys are, but I want you guys to both give it a shot. You guys ready to go?
Absolutely.
You bet.
Dave, who is better, Kenny Loggins or Kenny Lofton?
Mr. Soundtrack. No one could write a soundtrack tune better than Kenny Loggins. Oh man, that guy could write a soundtrack tune. What's his best soundtrack tune? Probably "I'm All Right" from Caddyshack might be my favorite.
My brother hates us. No, he's got "I'm Free" from Footloose was really good. Not Footloose's song, obviously, but like the "I'm Free" from Footloose. Oh, that's really good. And he's got another one from Caddyshack 2 that was really good too. Yeah, Mr. Soundtrack for me is like, and Kenny Loggins was a hell of a ball player, but Kenny Loggins. Jim, do you even know who Kenny Loggins?
Yeah, man, I watched Caddyshack. Dude, there's this one pub right outside from where I work at. It's always got a hockey game on, the movies channel on, and it's always gonna be like the Capitals at because I usually get off around 4, so I go over afterwards and I see the Capitals playing, and then Caddyshack is on every day at 4:00. So I'm between commercial breaks. I'm looking at each, but yeah, every single day I see Caddyshack almost. Every single
Kenny
time I go
Loggins
in
better
there.
than Kenny Lofton?
Oh yeah,
Kenny Lofton had a hell of a career. Didn't wear a cup.
I don't know how you know that, but whatever.
I don't know either. I think
sniff it?
Jim Rome. I think it was when the days where I listened to Jim Rome. He came clean to Jim Rome. Not a Hall of Famer though. I think he just missed.
Hall of pretty good.
Yeah. So let's give this one to Mr. Soundtrack.
Mr. Kenny Loggins. Next one up, boys. Who is better, Bo Duke or Bo Bichette?
Bo Duke, man.
Where's Bo Derek? Give me Bo Derek one. Bo Bichette's too young. The jury's still out.
Yeah.
And I don't think they can help it when you're a young, successful ball player. I think you just run a little high on the nozzle scale. So for now, if Bo Derek is in a selection, I'll give it to the Duke boy.
The Dukes, like not long history. Like the Dukes of Hazzard wasn't on that long. And to have the longevity that show has got on, because I don't think it was on the Nashville Network back in the day, back in the late 90s, it was on a little bit, but it wasn't on CBS or ABC, whatever.
Oh, no, that's not true at all. It was.
How many years was it? It's not a 10-year show.
I would say probably 6 to 9. And they actually fired Bo and Luke Duke because they held out for more money.
Contract dispute.
Yeah. And they let him go. And then
they brought in 2 cousins for a season, and then brought them back. It didn't work out the whole bit. Yeah, but the General Lee was because there was all the toys and stuff, and my brother had the General Lee, and you could put the
merchandising.
The merchandising was pretty big for back in the 80s for those TV shows. Do they still do that with TV shows with merchandising for kids as much?
I don't think so.
Well,
because everything's streaming now, so they do it, but it's also more independent.
And it's the Marvel universe, right?
MCU is taken over.
Yeah. So
which I just learned stands for Marvel Cinematic Universe and not comic.
2 more.
I got one.
More here. Okay, go ahead.
And Dukes of Hazzard was a 6-year run.
6. Oh, okay. Who is better, Yu Darvish or U2?
Yu Darvish is the greatest almost at almost getting no hitters. I will say that.
Yu Darvish is a hell of a pitcher.
He's
but
a hell of a pitcher.
Like U2 is like, I know you're not you're not a Bono guy. Obviously, my sister's a big Bono guy, and Jim's mother. U2's better than Yu Darvish.
Oh, without
Like
a doubt.
I know you don't like U2, Dave, but yeah.
I don't mind him. Well, I think I've told you about what's the difference between God and you two.
Oh.
God doesn't walk around heaven thinking he's Bono.
No, there is that. There is that. You know, he is a bit of a. He's got a lot going on. I got 3 more. Who is better, John Bon Jovi or John Schmaltz?
That is some 2 heavyweights.
Yeah,
You know,
Smoltz a Hall of Famer. Bon Jovi's a Hall of Famer. Smoltz, you only got the 1 World Series with the Braves, but that 3-headed monster they had with Glavine and Maddox in Atlanta for all those years. That's a heavyweight bout going 10 rounds. That's Balboa and Apollo Creed kind of shit going on there.
did he win a Cy Young as a closer and a Cy Young as a starter? Like,
I believe so. Yeah,
total team player. Went to the bullpen when
good
his team
broadcaster
needed him.
too.
Good broadcaster. You know, I think John Bon Jovi likes John Bon Jovi a little too much. I've seen Bon Jovi more times perform than I have seen John Smoltz perform. A little bit of pandering, supergroup. Yeah, still sellout. Give me Smoltzy. I'll take the Hall of Famer over the hair metal guy.
Well,
Top hair.
Bon Jovi's a Hall of Famer in their own rights too. I mean, he is. Jim.
Yeah. Schmaltz. Schmaltz. I'm not the biggest Bon Jovi guy. I understand the appeal, but it's just I like some of their music, but I'm not the biggest Bon Jovi head. You know.
I
So-
Favorite
like
Bon Jovi song?
Born to Be My Baby.
What?
Baby. Oh, I love that song.
I did. That's not what I thought that you would just pull
I
out like
love
that.
that
Right?
too.
All right, man.
I
thought you were-
love that song, man. I love that one. That is such a great song. Yeah.
My 2 I like Dead or Alive and the one Johnny used to work on the docks. Which was it? We're halfway.
Living
there.
on a Prayer.
Living on a
We're
prayer.
living on a prayer. Yeah.
Living on a Prayer is a good
Yeah.
song. Yeah. Here we go. Another one. Who's better, Steve Perry or Steve Young? Steve Perry of Journey fame and of Oh Sherry. Fuck, I hated that song. So this might give away who I'm going to pick. But yeah, who's better, Steve Perry or Steve Young?
If my mom ever sees this, I'm gonna have to answer Steve Perry in case my mom's watching.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you know that he got the nickname The Voice for a reason. And
he is a phenomenal singer too.
Oh,
the
yeah.
guy can sing, and then
Stage
obviously,
fright. Wasn't it? That's why he quit?
I thought he bit of
Hip
a
injury.
Oh, hip injury.
It was he got sick, but also like his hip was gone, so he couldn't like actually like walk.
Yeah.
So he just called it.
Huh.
Guy can sing though. Pipes. Steve Young, I never really liked him. I didn't like the Niners at the time. I didn't like the fact he was from BYU. I don't like the fact that he is wrong constantly on.
I know it's only Monday, but you kind of just besmirched the Mormon Church right there on the 1420 podcast. But whatever.
I didn't say that. I could have just as easily said Notre Dame, but he played for BYU.
Oh,
No, did he? I don't even know where he played his college ball. I'm going to assume BYU. No, I don't like
I
Steve
don't
Young.
actually.
I that guy gives me a bit of a rash. Hell of a player. Deserved Hall of Famer. But yeah, I'm going to take Steve Perry on this one.
I'm going to go with Steve Young, quasi-Niners guy. But I hated that song, Oh Sherry, so much. I hated that song because you couldn't dance to it. You did. It was fast and it was slow, and you couldn't. This is back in 1983 or 84, whatever it was, when you're trying to hand on.
You and
chin.
your dancing.
You don't strike me as much of a dancer. Are you sure?
I'm
it was
a
the
rug
song?
cutter, man. I am a rug cutter. Like,
Are
there's
you
no
sure?
getting around that.
I don't know. Just I feel like it wasn't the song, and it was more the dancer.
No, it was a song. It wasn't fast. It wasn't slow. It was in between land, and it sped up, and it was slow again. So that's the reason I'm going to give it to Steve Young, and he's Super Bowl champion, the whole bit. Last one, we'll call it a night, boys. Who's better, Arnold Horshack or Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Oh,
Give me the
fuck.
Schwartz.
Yeah, it's Arnold for sure. Horshack, that 2-bit one-trick pony. Like, come on. I was sick of it. I was like 10 years old watching Welcome Back, Kotter, and his shtick got old on me after one season.
I like Welcome Back, Kotter.
Oh, so did
Still.
I.
I still do. I watch it once in a while on YouTube.
But that that grew old. Real quick.
bet, Dave. I will bet you more people get more pleasure out of Arnold Horshack now than people get pleasure out of Arnold Schwarzenegger on a daily basis. I put money on it.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong.
Who watches Conan reruns?
You don't have to.
He's been
Schwarzenegger's
in
out there on
so many other
Twitter.
things. In fact,
Yeah.
you pick out that one thing. You pick out Conan, really? Come on.
I actually never saw Terminator.
Terminator 1, Terminator 2, Kindergarten Cop. Those old school Raw Deal was hilarious. His cheesy one-liners were the best. I didn't really care for that Martian one. True Lies was awesome. Jamie Lee Curtis, one of my crushes. I rewatched Trading Places the other day.
Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis had it going on. She still does.
She still looks pretty. She looks, she's all
a
right.
handsome woman. I dig on her.
Yeah.
Like sliding down a rope in gym class. Don't need no Rex MD if she's in the
Rex MD on that one. There's no doubt about that. She was, she's got it going on. There's no getting around that. But I thought Horshack was funny. I thought Welcome Back, Kotter was funny. Like, that's just
Plug.
So did I, but then we were 10 at the time too.
Oh,
right?
no,
So-
during COVID, we actually, when we had a TV outside there in the backyard here at World Headquarters, we'd put that on, barbecue and eating some food, watch it's entertaining as fuck. I highly recommend watching. You guys should watch Welcome Back, Kotter.
All right.
Okay.
You might get a chuckle.
I'm not saying it won't. I'll look it up.
It
ain't no WKRP.
It's not groundbreaking shit by any means. It's no WKRP. But
You
yeah,
don't
it's
need
just-
groundbreaking all the time. Come on. What's
Well,
wrong?
it's
What's
the
wrong with the
70s.
little casual viewing? You know.
It ain't no MASH. It ain't no All in the Family. Ain't
I
no
don't think, you know
Jeffersons.
what, like MASH, I watched a little bit, but I've never seen the same MASH episode twice.
Oh, my dad was a MASH fanatic. I've probably seen every MASH 3 or 4 times in my life.
Yeah, I never, Good show.
Anyway.
I don't
Yeah, I
know the
enjoyed it.
guys. Yeah. Anyways, the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, 4 beer sports talk and a whole lot more. Brought to you by SeatGeek and Rex MD and Manscaped tonight. Thank you guys very much for tuning in on our live stream on YouTube tonight. We appreciate all the support we got. It's greatly appreciated. But anyways, make sure you guys listen to our show. It'll be up tomorrow on all our regular podcast locations. Make sure you guys talk to people about our show. It gets spread the word. We're closing in on the 50,000 download mark all time, which is a big number for our little show. Got lots going on here at World Headquarters, and it's been a fun run so far. This is a new step in the growth of our show. So it's a lot of fun tonight. Anyways, take care of each other. More important, take care of yourself. Need you around. Keep your stick on the ice. And what else, David?
No swinging at high pitches, Jim. And tell your roommate to turn down the fucking music.
I have, man. I'm trying.
Bang on the door like Mitch Hedberg.
He just won't do
Oh,
it.
no.
Knocking on the wall. Go around.
Go around. This
Go
is
around.
not
Mitch
a door.
Hedberg is classic stuff.
That guy makes me laugh. Too
So,
bad
like,
he's
that's
dead.
one I'll watch on YouTube over and over. Like, I obviously hasn't put new stuff out in 20 years, obviously, but yeah, man, funny.
Yeah, dude fell off.
He he's
Well,
dead.
fell off. He
I know.
died. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had
No,
that
I know.
little heroin addiction problem.
Yeah.
So it was one of those situations. But
I used
how
to
do you
do
sleep
drugs.
with that, Jim? Like, how do you sleep with that? music?
I don't.
Oh, that's good. Anyways, 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, 4 Beer with Sports Talk, and a whole lot more. Have a good night, folks. We'll talk to you guys again on Thursday night.
Later, everybody. Jim, there's a mute button on the screen too.